So I used to be this person who had this laundry list of things that he actually wanted to do. Like I wanted to learn how to code, I wanted to study math, I wanted to read more books, I wanted to, start a YouTube channel. But despite having this ambition and this intention, I could never really get these activities done. Like I could just not get myself moving and I could not just start. I always felt there was this huge invisible barrier between me and these activities. So what used to happen was I used to get really motivated. Like I used to watch movies or some Instagram reels and I just used to get fired up. And I used to use raw motivation to get these things done. But eventually this motivation would fade after like 3 or 4 days and I would just end up back on square one. But that is not who I am anymore. My name is Jibreal Khan and I have been a software engineer at Fortune 500 companies like Dell Technologies, AMD, Synopsys. Additionally, I was one of the best performing students in my bachelor's and my master's program. Lastly, I'm now someone who lives a very disciplined and a routine life. Like I read, I lift weights, and I train martial arts 6 times a week. My goal is to help men quit procrastination and live up to their fullest potential. So I hope that my personal transformation lends some credibility to what I'm about to say next. Now, this isn't going to be some cute clickbaity videos where I talk to you about the Pomodoro technique or a quick 2-minute fix. I don't think so these things work in the long run. Like I've been there, I've been a serial procrastinator, I've been in the war zone, I've tried hundreds of things. And let me tell you this, 99% of what you see on the internet or what people or what YouTubers tell you is probably not going to work. It didn't work for me either. But in this video, I'm going to talk about the 1% of things that actually do work. Like they flipped my life around and I'm quite positive they're going to work for you. However, these are not some quick fixes. These actually require some lifestyle changes, but they're so worth it. So let's get right into it. So one of the reasons why I could never get myself to do anything productive was because I was just constantly surrounded by things that gave me excessive stimulation, like video games, binge watching Netflix, eating a lot of garbage food, scrolling through social media. Whenever I used to do these things, I used to feel really good at the moment because I used to get this dopamine spike. But just a couple of minutes after I was done with them, I used to feel lethargic, low in energy, unmotivated. That's because all these activities release a massive amount of dopamine into your system. So I was just constantly bombarding my brain with all this excessive pleasure chemical. And what happened next was that I eventually became desensitized to it. So regular things like reading, trying to do math problems, trying to learn how to code, all these things stopped being fun and interesting because I was just so desensitized to it. They did not even register as pleasurable or interesting because my bar for what counted as fun had been raised so high due to all the overstimulation I was providing my brain. And regular activities were fairly low in comparison. Like you're not going to want to read a book after playing 4 hours of video games. It's simply too boring. It doesn't register as fun. And naturally, what happens when you stop finding something interesting and fun? Well, you stop doing it. So I started procrastinating all these productive habits. They began to seem like chores, like something that would make me actually suffer and something that I really didn't want to do anything with. Like from that point onwards, I decided that I need to do something about this. So I made a list of all the things that I thought gave me unearned pleasure. They gave me instant gratification. And some of the things on this list were like 10 to 15 years old. Like I was really just hooked to them. It took me years to finally figure this out, but there is no such thing as free pleasure. Like anything around you that's giving you this free pleasure, it's probably destroying you. Like all these things that were on my list, they were just happiness loans. They costed the future me of happiness. They robbed the future me of happiness, motivation, drive, and all these other good things. So I decided that I'm going to win my happiness back and I'm going to quit all these things on this list cold turkey. And I know the conventional advice is, hey, don't quit things cold turkey, just wean off them bit by bit. But that is what I did. I literally just was like, nope, no more, none of this shit. I'm gonna quit all these things cold turkey. So after the first few days of trying to quit these things, I faced like 2 major problems. The first problem was that because I was so hooked to some of these things, like I'd been consuming them for like 10-15 years, such as playing video games or eating fast food, I experienced a lot of withdrawal symptoms when I actually quit them. Additionally, I was having like a lot of cravings to get back into them because these things have been giving my brain a lot of dopamine for so long and my brain just refuses to let them go. One other thing that I realized during this process of trying to quit instant gratification was that my ability to say no to these things had been severely deteriorated. Because for years and years I had been indulging in instant gratification, I had lost my willpower. The thing that helped me the most in order to beat this problem was fasting. I know it sounds weird, but when you don't eat food for like 18 to 20 hours, then your body has like a different sort of motivation, your mood elevates, and you find yourself not craving any of these absurd addictions. Like, you don't feel like smoking, you don't feel like consuming garbage food, you don't feel like doing stupid things. There's something about fasting that clears your brain fog and you become like almost hyper focused, and that is what happened to me. I was no longer craving fast food. I had really good motivation levels. I wanted to do something with my life, and since I was now able to say no to food and water, like these things are so fundamental to our existence, and I was able to say no to them, this really improved my self-control and willpower. Since I could say no to these things, I could easily say no to things like playing video games or browsing through social media. It's like I'd rebuilt my willpower and my ability to say no. The second problem that I faced was that I felt like I had a big void in my life. Like, all the previous activities that I used to do, they were all related to instant gratification, playing video games and stuff, and I had removed them from my life. I found that I had so much free time during my day, and an idle mind is the devil's playground. I found myself missing or craving all these bad behaviors whenever I was bored and I had all this free time to kill. You see, when most people think of dopamine detox, they only consider one part of the equation, and that is to just quit instant gratification, quit all these high dopamine activities. But there is a second part of this equation. You actually need to replace all these hedonistic instant gratification activities with activities that are productive and that give you delayed gratification. Otherwise, you're going to have this big void in your life and you're going to be bored. So what I did was make a list of all the productive habits that I always wanted to do. Like, these were things like taking cold showers early in the morning, reading 20 to 30 minutes, going to the gym, learning how to code, starting a side hustle. All these things that I wanted to do for years. I made a list of all of them, and I decided that I'm going to fill this void in my life, this idle time, this free space, with all of these things. And you know what is the best part about having productive things in your routine? Is that when you tick something off your to-do list, your brain actually rewards you. It actually releases dopamine. So you feel good, you feel like you're heading in the right direction. And additionally, these things cause real life transformations in your life. Like, once I started hitting the gym, people noticed. People were like, whoa, you look different, you look better. And that actually gave me more motivation and more dopamine. When I started reading multiple books on various topics, I became a more interesting person to talk to, and people started noticing that thing, that, hey man, what you say makes sense. That once again gave me more dopamine. And now that I was not bombarding myself with excessive stimulation, like I was no longer eating shitty food, no longer playing video games, my pleasure sensors had recalibrated. Like, things that I previously found boring now became interesting to me. Like, I now enjoyed taking a walk. I now enjoyed reading. I now enjoyed studying math. All these things which felt like chores, they were not interesting at all, they began to feel fun once again. It's like my life was a video game and everything started feeling fun and interesting once again. All these good habits were now much more easier to maintain. Like, I didn't have to push myself. Like, they were pulling me towards them. And that is how I actually stopped procrastinating things. Because the most interesting things about my day were these productive habits. Like, hey, if you're someone who's ambitious and wants to do all these great things in life, but procrastination and bad habits, they're just weighing you down, then click on the link in the description and book a free one-on-one call with me. In this call, we'll discuss your goals and the things that are holding you back and come up with a custom plan that is designed for you to achieve your targets.